What is going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today I want to talk to you about Rezolve AI. I want to go over where I see things going for this upcoming week, what could cause some volatility, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So Rezolve, since their earnings has been quite volatile, but generally it has been moving higher. News did come out on Friday highlighting a lot of the most recent analyst ratings. Even on Twitter, Rezolve did post this. And this is something actually I really do like about Rezolve, is every one of their posts is oriented towards actual shareholders, not just random stuff just to put something out there like other companies. But this is just saying that Rezolve AI is pleased to announce that 6 leading equity research firms has raised their targets. And so they put out PR about this. So Maxim Group did raise their price target to $15, Roth Capital $12.50, APG $11, HC Wainwright $10, Cantor $7, and Northland $7. So no different than what I brought up in, I think it was my Friday video. But nonetheless, though, I think there still is a couple possible new ratings to come out, and depending on what they give, that could also really push Rezolve higher. And Rezolve's been very good at putting out news. I know sometimes in the past I've kind of been a little bit more hesitant about companies that do PR blitzes, but in Rezolve's case, seems to be very much working for them. So Friday went up 8.21% because of their news. Plus, at the same time, it was kind of piggybacking off of just the AI hype that was really going on. Looking into this upcoming week, though, you don't really see that much in companies unveiling their earnings. So that's not going to really affect Rezolve whatsoever. Looking at data. So this is where normally I would bring up like American data and how that does really affect Rezolve. I think in reality, a lot of this moves Rezolve through algorithmic trading, even though this for face value doesn't affect Rezolve, because most of their business is not in the States just yet. That is their bigger plan. And that's something that they did also kind of double down on in their most recent earnings. So they are really going to be leaning on Tether and just the American kind of moving towards cryptocurrency as their crutch to kind of enter the American market. So even though there's a lot of big data coming out this week, I don't think for face value it does affect Rezolve. That's just my own opinion, of course. But I think just generally speaking, the more adoption you see for cryptocurrency, the better. So let me know your general thoughts on that. I know a lot of people are really wanting Rezolve to go through a short squeeze. So when it comes down to shorts going into this upcoming week, 8.3% of the free float is being shorted. Works to be 12.96 million shares overall being shorted. So not to burst a lot of people's bubble or anything, but shorts did learn their lesson and they kind of returned a lot of shares recently. So it went from about 10.45% short interest to a low of 7.23, and now it's at that 8.3. So shorts are very kind of all over the place, but generally I think that they are starting to return. You know, there's bigger fish out there. Rezolve, their management seems to be very much all about PRs, and that does really help algorithmic trading really push the stock price higher. So I think it's just not really worthwhile for shorts, in my opinion. So I think over this upcoming week and possibly even a little bit more outside of that, shorts will just leave, get back to probably that 5% range in reality. So that could be something to keep in mind. Cost to borrow average is sitting at 34.19. Short score is 74.03. So like I said, I know a lot of people really want a squeeze to happen because it's fun, it's exciting to see a stock just skyrocket like crazy, but sorry to burst your bubble, those usually just fall back down. So I'd rather have shorts slowly return over time and not have a mother of all short squeeze types of scenarios. But looking at the options from a bull standpoint, you see a consensus for it to be above $8. So 8 to 8.50 is anticipated. Bears are anticipating for it to be sub. There's not really much going on, like between 7 and 7.50. So it's kind of funny. Even the bears are anticipating for it to be a little bit higher. So kind of crazy stuff. This is the open interest. So this past week, there's nothing really crazy. This upcoming week, same goes for that. The open interest, small amount. So there's not going to be any crazy manipulation. The week ending October the 17th, that is a monthly chain. That, though, is going to be very interesting. So potentially that could really prompt a little bit of a gamma squeeze. So just kind of mark that in your calendars. But this upcoming week, you're not really going to be seeing all that much. Aside from that, with it at 679, it is trading between these 2 points. So this R1 and the pivot. I'm looking at the one-day chart on a side note. So very strong support and resistance points. 567 is going to be that strong support. And depending on how the market does play out, you could potentially see that touched. There's been a lot of volatility lately, but generally I do feel like the market is very optimistic. Things will be really moving higher. So 753 is going to be that next strong target / resistance. And we do know that is a strong resistance point only because it did bounce off of that general area on Friday. So again, just kind of be aware of that. So 753 will be that next target. And if able to get above that, then you could easily see 868, 1055, and so forth. So let me know your general thoughts on Rezolve in the comments below and where you realistically see things going. On the actual chart, because of Friday's nice push, it did close above that 10-day moving average, so signaling a little bit more of a momentum starting to build again. Looking at the market position, comparing Friday to Thursday, you see a lot more willing sellers. So potentially you have a lot of walls up to that about 730. So if it's able to really hit hard and fast early on in the week and get above that 730, then this is essentially where you could see a retest of that 50-day moving average, which would be pretty epic if you ask me. But you also do have a little bit of a lag as far as willing buyers to that about 650. So it could go either direction. It's all going to come down to the momentum at the time and how things are. There hasn't really been all that much in articles coming out associated to Rezolve. So despite the good ratings that did come out, which were all of these, oddly, you don't really see like that much chatter about it. And I think all it will take is one big firm to give a rating on Rezolve, and then that's where all institutions will just pile in. So at the end of the day, I think that's kind of a good thing. One individual that loves innovative AI plays such as Rezolve would be Daniel Ives from Wedbush. So he's typically one of those individuals that likes to pick innovative companies such as Palantir and several others, and he sees the full potential of them. So he gives a very good rating. So even if he does come in, I can see him realistically sitting to maybe $12 to $15, but most likely he's going to be looking at Rezolve at one time or another over the next little bit. And he does actually have a pretty kind of popular ETF that does include all of those innovative companies. So that would be pretty good for Rezolve. So let me know your general thoughts on how you feel this week is going to go. Are you optimistic? Are we going to be seeing 52-week highs? Or do you think that we are going to pull a little bit lower? So when it comes down to it, I personally do feel that we will be close to this R2. So new 52-week high will be done for Rezolve. I don't know if we'll have enough to get above this R2 just this week alone, but most likely we'll be able to test this R1 either Monday or Tuesday, and then potentially get close to this R2 in the second half of this week. So let me know your general thoughts on that. I know I'm not as crazy of a pumper as a lot of other individuals kind of screaming that $20 is coming this week, which I would love to see that happen. Just realistically, I don't really see that being on the table unless Rezolve puts out some crazy positive news, because they did kind of hint to some partnerships, M&A coming down the pipeline. So that could be, again, a pretty good reason why Rezolve might move up very fast, but it's really hard to predict when that will be coming out. So let me know your thoughts on Rezolve. Hopefully everyone's having an amazing weekend thus far. One final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto. I put out daily day trades, numerous swing trades. Worthwhile to pop over there and check that out. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.